So they did it. On Friday, during the dev stream, they showed us. Nidus Prime, we already knew was confirmed. But the Strun Prime and the Magnus Prime are going to be the weapons that he brings. This is huge for a couple of different reasons. This means we're one step closer to the dual-wielding Magnus Prime that I'm kind of looking forward to, because the Magnus might just, possibly, maybe, be slightly better than the Lex. Depends upon your, I want to say, personal preference or personal thoughts. I did not look into this in the slightest, but the Magnus, well, the dual-wielding Magnus is a good secondary. The single Magnus is still a good one, but the dual-wielding one is now closer than ever. I was hoping they were just going to do the dual-wielding Magnus. Ooh, I can't remember what the one was. They brought one out a while ago, and like everybody else, I hoped it would be the Magnus. It turned out to be something else. But you can see Nidus in every form, and he looks, well, there is no other way to put it. He looks absolutely amazing. I made reference to the spiky bit in the left side of his chest possibly being a Maya sword, kind of glitching through. I would have loved to have seen the Maya sword turn up with Nidus Prime. The Maya Prime, oh, every part of me wanted that. Or the Hema Prime. Some kind of infested weaponry, or infested sentinel. There is one. Jin Prime does exist. But no, we got the Strun Prime that has a lot of damage to it. Let's go back and have a look at that. Well, if we have a look at this image, this thing, it has got to be one of the most golden weapons to be primed yet. And they made reference to the fact that this was one of the first weapons that they released for the game, additional weapons to the ones that came standard. I do believe the bow came first, but I'm not too sure on that one, because there was the Bratton, the Boltor, the Burston, which have all been primed, by the way, and funnily enough, if we include the Latron in this, one of which already has a Wraith variant, because the Strun has a Wraith variant, because it's a Grineer weapon. The Grineer and the Corpus all kind of ran around with the same weapons originally. Now it has all changed. This, I could have this argument for days. I've had it for years. Could mean any Grineer based weapon could in theory be primed. Same with the Corpus, because we have Helios Prime that is a Corpus based Sentinel. That was primed, which means we're one step closer to them kind of admitting that because the Corpus and the Grineer are scavengers, in theory, if they really wanted to, they could prime absolutely anything. Ugrus Prime. Oh, shivers. Even more importantly, for people I used to argue about this all the time with, the Opticore Prime. The Opticore Prime would be absolutely amazing, no matter how you put it. And this kind of gets us there, because Corpus and Grineer are scavengers, and most of their technology has been scavenged from the Orokin, and because of this, their weapons are based on Orokin technology, meaning they can be primed. All of them can be primed. There's none of this really, well, the Grineer can't be primed for this reason, the Corpus can't be primed for that reason. The can, it would just have to look completely different to how theirs looks. Hence, the Strun does not look like a Strun. It looks like a primed weapon. It looks like it is supposed to look. Whereas the Magnus Prime, yeah, this thing looks amazing. And also, that rotating magazine in the middle there looks like it's going to have a lot of rounds to it. Hence the reason this could be slightly better than the Lex Prime, because, yeah, more rounds means more damage. And you can actually see in the middle of this, you have the normal Magnus with the Magnus Prime beneath it. You also have the Strun Prime at the bottom, and to be fair, that Strun Prime looks absolutely amazing. This, same thing. There is a lot of gold on these. Like, tons of them. They replaced the entire outside of this with gold. It's like they just dipped it into a gold bath. But what you will also notice, key little features that may not really be that noticeable until it's pointed out to you. If you look at the top right picture and the one beneath it, on the side of this weapon, would that be the Lotus emblem? Like the Warframe emblem? I'm pretty sure that wasn't something that was around with the Orokin, because it's Lotus based. That should be on Dex related items, not on primed weapons. It's really weird seeing that kind of subtly hidden there on the side of the weapon. Never noticed if that's on any other primed weapon before until this. I looked at this so much. It looks so much better. But that's what the primes are supposed to be. And they are supposed to be upgraded. I'm saying upgraded. They are the original ones. And that's where the whole... Can the Corpus and the Orokin stuff really be made into prime weapons that are better? When they've scavenged it, and in theory theirs should be better than the prime one because they take what they've scavenged and made it better. And that's probably why we'll never end up with the Corpus or Grineer based primed weapons, but I don't touch on the lore of things. It's just that one bit where they have all of their stuff is scavenged from the Orokin, to me, says that, well, they could. It's there. They could use that loophole to make anything primed. And they kind of have with the Strun and the Latron, but the Latron was primed before it became a Wraith weapon. Which was a kind of a weird one to see. But they have done Wraith versions of Tenno weapons, and before, they kind of did with the Strun, now we get the primed version. The Magnus, I really can't decide which one of these I liked the best. Because even though they did go in, they did show that the Sandana's part of it, there was also this. No idea what the name of this thing was, because the developer build thing was in the bottom left the whole time. But, yeah, part of the Prime accessories for Nidus Prime is a very nice looking infested skin for the Necromech. It does seem weird to have an infested skin for the Necromech, because how can we have a primed version of the Necromech, and actually, there you can see it, I'm not even trying to pronounce that, the original Necromech is what we have, because they refer to them during the whole Heart of Deimos quest as the original Necromechs were the original Warframes, and they are laying around everywhere. There's a few different variations of it, but the one that you first get is the original one. Meaning this is a primed... How can it be primed if we already have the original one? That's because there is ones that they would have made after that, and this is a skin for it. And, well, make your Necromech even more fearsome with this helmet based on... That's just the helmet. Early experimental designs. That's why. It's a design for it. Not an actual Necromech. It's just become a thing because Nidus Prime has turned up, and in the lore of Warframe and everything else, when a new frame turns up, it's because you do a quest to find the story behind them, and that's how you find the parts. If there's no quest, there's usually the variant, and in there it tells you the story behind them and how you have basically found out that they existed, hence you can get the parts to build them now. This, kind of the same thing. Because Nidus Prime has been discovered, hence he is being added to the game, it means that with him probably came the stuff for the weapons and to build the Necromech, which is why I would love this to have been an actual Necromech that you could build rather than a actual skin, because they could have made a much better Necromech than this, than any of the other ones, and made it a primed one. But just the fact that you can have the infested helmet with all of the infested stuff coming through and put other bodies on it, so it looks like the infestation's coming out of it. I actually like this skin a lot. Even though, yes, they could have used it for lots of other things, the fact it's a Prime accessory means the only way to get it is to buy Prime Access. So Nidus Prime is coming. They did not confirm the release date of Nidus Prime, which is the main reason I'm doing this. They did show the landing craft, the orbiter, sorry, and the infestation you can now have there that matches the colours of your landing craft. Orbiter. I keep going to say landing craft, it's the orbiter. And yes, in these colours, that looked pretty nice. But they do change colours and it does start to look a little bit, how to put it, weird. Because of the colours that they put on it. This will be the bonus to the Prime Access. The infested orbiter decorations. That is actually just a scene that you put in your orbiter. But anyway, they did confirm that there is no release date. They're not willing to confirm this until probably when the 8th comes to be. Now they really would have to confirm it kind of later today that he is coming next week to build up the hype for his arrival next week. Whether or not they do that, we'll see. We can hope that he turns up on the 8th, which is this coming Tuesday. Well, yeah, it's Tuesday pretty much everywhere now, so this coming Tuesday, which is next week, but like everybody, kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that he does actually turn up when Gara Prime Access comes to an end. Also kind of really hoping that Gara Prime is the one that is currently there, because I think I've just lost complete track of everything and I really can't remember. And this is where normally should look into it and correct myself, but I'm not going to, because when the current Prime Access ends, doesn't matter who it is, when that ends, hopefully Nidus Prime turns up and they don't put a week or two gap in between, which they have done in the past. Hopefully he will turn up on the 8th. They didn't confirm it, they just said that they're not confirming it yet. And with that sad bit of news, I think we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.